There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize the world has been treating them exactly the way they have been treating themselves. If you constantly ignore your own worth, sacrifice your boundaries, and seek validation from everyone around you, don't be surprised when people begin to see you as someone who can be overlooked. Respect is not something you beg for. It is something you demonstrate through your actions, your standards, and the way you carry yourself. Before you expect anyone else to value your time, your energy, or your presence, you must first learn to value them yourself. Because the truth is simple. If you don't respect yourself first, the world will quietly teach you what it feels like to be treated like nothing. One of the biggest reasons people lose respect is because they spend too much of their life chasing approval. They measure their worth by the opinions of others instead of by their own character. Every decision becomes a performance. Every action is taken with one question in mind. What will people think? This is a dangerous way to live. Because the moment your happiness depends on someone else's opinion, your peace is no longer in your own hands. You become emotionally controlled by people who may not even care about your future. They decide your confidence with a compliment and destroy it with a criticism. Think about how often people change themselves just to fit into a group. They hide their true personality, agree with opinions they don't believe in, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, and stay silent when something feels wrong. At first, it seems harmless because they want to be accepted. But every time they ignore their own values to gain someone else's approval, they slowly lose respect for themselves. The saddest part is that even after all those sacrifices, there is still no guarantee that people will accept them. They end up exhausted from pretending to be someone they were never meant to become. The truth is that you cannot control what people think about you. No matter how kind, talented, honest, or hardworking you are, someone will misunderstand you. Someone will criticize you. Someone will dislike you without even knowing you. If you make pleasing everyone your mission, you are choosing a goal that can never be achieved. It is like trying to catch the wind with your bare hands. The more you chase it, the more it escapes. People who constantly seek validation often become afraid of making mistakes. They hesitate before speaking because they worry about sounding foolish. They delay their dreams because they fear failure. They avoid difficult conversations because they don't want anyone to be disappointed in them. Over time, fear becomes their master. Instead of living according to their own purpose, they live according to other people's expectations. That is not freedom. That is emotional dependence disguised as kindness. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need applause to exist. It doesn't disappear when someone disagrees. A confident person understands that criticism is a normal part of life. They listen when feedback is useful, but they don't let every opinion become their identity. They know who they are, even when nobody is clapping for them. That inner certainty is far more powerful than temporary approval from strangers. Ask yourself an honest question. If nobody praised you for your hard work, would you still do it? If nobody noticed your progress, would you still continue improving? If nobody liked your posts, supported your decisions, or celebrated your success, would you still believe in yourself? The answers to these questions reveal whether your motivation comes from within or from the approval of others. Many people confuse validation with love. They believe that if everyone likes them, then they must be valuable. But popularity and self-worth are not the same thing. Some of the most respected people in history faced rejection, criticism, and misunderstanding. They stayed committed to their principles even when others doubted them. Their strength came from conviction, not from constant praise. When you stop chasing validation, something interesting happens. Your decisions become clearer. You stop wasting energy explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. You stop apologizing for having standards. You stop feeling guilty for saying no. You begin making choices based on your values instead of your fears. That change creates a different kind of confidence because it is built on honesty rather than performance. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some people will only encourage you as long as you stay small enough to make them comfortable. The moment you begin growing, setting boundaries, or pursuing bigger goals, they may question your choices. If your confidence depends on their approval, you will shrink yourself just to keep them happy. But if your confidence comes from self-respect, you will continue moving forward even when they don't understand your journey. Learning to validate yourself is a daily practice. It means recognizing your own effort without waiting for compliments. It means celebrating your own progress even when nobody notices. It means admitting your mistakes without believing they define your value. It means an understanding that your worth does not increase when someone praises you, and it does not decrease when someone criticizes you. There will always be people with opinions. Some will support you, some will doubt you, and some will judge you no matter what you do. If you spend your life trying to satisfy every voice around you, you will eventually lose your own. Protecting your own voice requires courage because it means accepting that not everyone will agree with your path. That is a price worth paying because authenticity always costs less than pretending. Respect begins with the relationship you have with yourself. When you know your values, your strengths, and your purpose, outside opinions lose their power. They become information instead of commands. You listen without becoming controlled. You learn without becoming insecure. You improve without abandoning who you are. The strongest people are not those who receive the most applause. They are the ones who continue doing the right thing, even when nobody is watching. They don't wake up every morning asking how to impress the world. They wake up asking how to become a better version of themselves than they were yesterday. That mindset creates peace because it places your confidence in something you can actually control. Your own actions, your own discipline, and your own character. Many people believe that saying yes to everything makes them kind, caring, and easy to love. They think that sacrificing their own needs is a sign of maturity. But over time, this habit slowly teaches people that your time, your energy, and your peace are always available for them to use. When you never set boundaries, you unintentionally tell others that your limits do not matter. Respect begins to disappear the moment you stop protecting what is valuable to you. A boundary is not a wall that pushes people away. It is a clear line that shows others how you expect to be treated. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and respect cannot exist without limits. Imagine inviting someone into your home. You welcome them warmly, but that does not mean they have permission to damage your furniture, take your belongings, or stay forever without asking. In the same way, allowing someone into your life does not mean they have unlimited access to your time, emotions, or personal space. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with boundaries is guilt. They fear that saying no will make them look selfish or uncaring. They worry that others will become upset, disappointed, or angry. Because of this fear, they agree to things they don't want to do. They cancel their own plans to satisfy someone else's demands. They stay available even when they are mentally exhausted. They keep giving until there is nothing left to give. The problem with always saying yes is that every yes to someone else can become a no to yourself. Every unnecessary commitment steals time from your own goals. Every moment spent trying to satisfy everyone else is a moment you cannot invest in your own growth, your health, your family, or your dreams. Eventually, resentment begins to replace kindness Because deep inside, you know you are living for everyone except yourself. People often respect what they cannot easily control. If someone knows you will always agree, always forgive without change, always answer immediately, and always put their needs before your own, they begin expecting it instead of appreciating it. What was once seen as generosity becomes an obligation. Instead of thanking you, they become frustrated the first time you refuse. This does not mean you changed. It simply means they became comfortable crossing lines you never defended. Setting boundaries does not require anger. It does not require shouting, arguing, or treating people badly. A calm and respectful no is often stronger than a hesitant yes. You do not need a long explanation every time you protect your time. You do not need permission to rest when you are tired. You do not need everyone's approval before making a decision that protects your peace. Many people confuse boundaries with rejection. If you refuse a request, they assume you no longer care about them. But refusing one request is not refusing the person. You can love someone while still protecting your own well-being. You can support people without becoming responsible for every problem in their lives. You can be compassionate without allowing yourself to be constantly taken for granted. There will always be individuals who become uncomfortable the moment you start creating boundaries. Not because your boundaries are wrong, but because they benefited from the absence of them. They were used to unlimited access, instant responses, and constant availability. When those habits change, they may accuse you of becoming distant, selfish, or different. In reality, you are simply learning to value yourself. Confidence grows every time you honor your own limits. The first few times may feel uncomfortable because you are breaking old patterns. You might feel guilty even when you have done nothing wrong. That feeling is normal. Guilt does not always mean you made a bad decision. Sometimes it simply means you are doing something unfamiliar after years of putting yourself last. Learning to say no is a skill that becomes stronger with practice. You do not have to reject every request. You simply learn to pause before answering. Instead of automatically agreeing, you ask yourself whether this decision aligns with your values, your priorities, and your responsibilities. If the answer is no, then saying no is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of honesty. Boundaries also protect relationships from silent resentment. When people constantly ignore their own needs, they often expect others to notice their sacrifices without ever communicating them. When those expectations are not met, frustration builds. Honest boundaries prevent this cycle because they replace hidden disappointment with clear communication. People know where you stand, and you know that your choices are based on respect instead of pressure. Respecting yourself means recognizing that your energy is limited. You cannot be available for everyone at every moment. You cannot solve every problem. You cannot carry every burden that others place on your shoulders. Trying to do so will eventually drain your emotional strength and leave you unable to care for the people and responsibilities that truly matter. The people who genuinely value you will learn to respect your boundaries. They may not always like hearing no, but they will understand that your limits are part of who you are. Healthy relationships become stronger because they are built on honesty instead of obligation. The relationships that disappear after you begin setting boundaries often reveal that they were based on convenience rather than genuine respect. Every boundary you set is a statement about how you see yourself. When you protect your time, you declare that your life has value. When you protect your peace, you declare that your mental well-being matters. When you refuse disrespect, you declare that your dignity is not negotiable. These decisions may disappoint some people, but they also teach others exactly how they must treat you if they want to remain part of your life. Self-respect is not something you wake up with one morning. It is not a feeling that suddenly appears because someone complimented you or because life finally went your way. Self-respect is built through the promises you keep to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and actually do it, you strengthen your character. Every time you break your own word, even in small ways, you weaken the trust you have in yourself. Long before other people decide whether they can rely on you, your own mind has already decided whether your words mean anything. Discipline is one of the clearest expressions of self-respect. It means choosing what is right instead of what is easy. It means showing up when motivation disappears. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired, but discipline begins when excitement fades. That is where character is revealed. Your future is shaped less by your occasional moments of motivation and more by your daily habits. Think about the small promises people make to themselves every day. They say they will wake up earlier, exercise, read a few pages of a book, save money, learn a new skill, or stop wasting hours scrolling through their phones. These promises often seem too small to matter, but every broken promise quietly sends a message to the mind. My words cannot be trusted. Over time, confidence begins to disappear because confidence is built on evidence. If your own actions repeatedly prove that you do not follow through, your mind naturally starts doubting you. Many people search for confidence in external things. They buy expensive clothes, chase compliments, or try to impress others with status. None of these things create lasting confidence because they do not change the relationship you have with yourself. The strongest confidence comes from knowing that when you make a commitment, you honor it. You no longer need constant encouragement because your own actions have become proof of your reliability. Discipline also teaches patience. We live in a world where people expect immediate results. They want success after a few weeks, fitness after a few workouts, wealth after a few investments, and respect after a few confident conversations. Real growth rarely works that way. The most valuable achievements are built slowly through consistent effort. A tree does not become strong overnight. It grows one season at a time, developing deep roots before anyone admires its height. Every disciplined action may seem insignificant on its own. Reading 10 pages today may not make you an expert. Exercising for 30 minutes may not transform your body immediately. Saving a small amount of money may not make you wealthy, but repeating these actions every day creates a completely different life. Success is usually hidden inside ordinary routines that most people are unwilling to repeat. One reason discipline is difficult is because it often requires choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort. Sleeping a little longer feels easier than getting out of bed early. Watching endless entertainment feels easier than studying. Spending money today feels more enjoyable than saving it. Avoiding difficult conversations feels more comfortable than facing them. Every day presents these choices, and every choice shapes the person you become. Self-respect grows when your actions match your values. If you claim that health is important, but never take care of your body, there is a gap between your words and your behavior. If you say honesty matters, but constantly make excuses, that gap becomes even wider. Living with integrity means reducing the distance between what you believe and how you behave. The closer those two become, the stronger your self-respect becomes. Discipline is not about being perfect. Everyone has difficult days. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone experiences moments of weakness. The goal is not perfection, but consistency. Missing one workout does not destroy discipline. Giving up completely does. Making one mistake does not define your character. Repeating the mistake without learning from it begins to shape your habits. Many people underestimate how much their environment influences their discipline. If your surroundings constantly encourage distraction, unhealthy habits become easier. If you surround yourself with people who make excuses for everything, it becomes easier to accept mediocrity. On the other hand, being around people who value growth, responsibility, and consistency naturally raises your own standards. The environment cannot make your decisions for you, but it can make those decisions easier or harder. Discipline also creates emotional stability. When life becomes stressful, people without discipline often react based on their emotions. They quit when things become difficult. They lose focus after one failure. They allow temporary feelings to control permanent decisions. A disciplined person still experiences fear, frustration, and disappointment, but those emotions do not control their actions. They continue moving forward because their commitment is stronger than their mood. There is a quiet dignity in doing what needs to be done without needing recognition. Some of the most important victories happen when nobody is watching. Waking up early while everyone else is asleep. Practicing a skill without applause. Keeping your word when breaking it would be easier. Choosing honesty when lying could provide temporary comfort. These moments rarely receive attention from the world, yet they shape the foundation of your character. The respect you receive from others often reflects the standards you consistently maintain for yourself. People notice reliability, they notice consistency, they notice individuals who keep their promises and handle responsibility without making endless excuses. While words may impress people for a moment, disciplined actions earn trust over time. Every disciplined habit becomes a vote for the person you want to become. Every decision either strengthens your character or weakens it. Every promise you keep reminds your mind that you are someone who follows through. That quiet confidence cannot be purchased, borrowed, or given by anyone else, because it is built one decision at a time through actions that repeatedly prove you are worthy of your own respect. One of the hardest lessons in life is accepting that not everyone deserves a permanent place in your journey. Many people stay in relationships, friendships, or environments where they are constantly disrespected because they fear being alone. They convince themselves that tolerating bad treatment is better than losing someone. But every day you remain where your dignity is ignored, you send yourself a message that your peace is less important than someone else's presence. Disrespect rarely begins with something obvious. It usually starts with small actions that are easy to excuse. Someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries. They speak to you with sarcasm disguised as humor. They only contact you when they need something. They constantly cancel plans without considering your time. They dismiss your opinions, interrupt you while speaking, or make you feel guilty for expressing your needs. Because these actions seem small on their own, people often ignore them. Over time, however, small acts of disrespect become normal, and what was once unacceptable slowly becomes expected. Many people wait for others to change before they decide to protect themselves. They keep hoping that if they become more patient, more understanding, or more forgiving, the other person will suddenly appreciate them. Sometimes people do change, but you cannot build your life around someone else's potential. You must respond to who they consistently are, not who you hope they will become. Walking away is not always about anger. It is often about wisdom. It is recognizing that your energy is limited and choosing not to spend it where it is constantly wasted. Every relationship requires effort, but healthy relationships should not require you to sacrifice your self-respect. There is a difference between working through normal disagreements and repeatedly accepting behavior that damages your confidence and peace of mind. One reason people struggle to leave disrespectful situations is because they remember the good moments. They focus on the occasional kindness while ignoring the repeated patterns of disrespect. They tell themselves they are not always like this, or things will get better. The problem is that patterns matter more than isolated moments. Anyone can be kind once in a while. Character is revealed through consistency, not occasional gestures. Another trap is believing that loyalty means staying no matter what. Loyalty is a valuable quality, but it should never require you to abandon yourself. Real loyalty is mutual. It includes honesty, respect, trust, and care from both sides. If only one person is making sacrifices while the other continues crossing boundaries, that is not loyalty. It is imbalance. Some people mistake tolerance for strength. They believe enduring endless disrespect proves how patient or mature they are. In reality, true strength is knowing when enough is enough. It takes courage to leave familiar situations, especially when emotions are involved. Staying is often easier because it avoids immediate discomfort. Walking away requires facing uncertainty, loneliness, and change, but those temporary challenges are often far less painful than years of accepting treatment that slowly destroys your confidence. People will treat you according to the standards you consistently accept. If every insult is ignored, every broken promise is forgiven without accountability, and every boundary is abandoned to keep someone happy, they begin to believe that this behavior has no consequences. Respect grows where standards exist. Without standards, people naturally assume they can continue behaving the same way. Walking away does not always mean physically leaving immediately. Sometimes it means emotionally detaching from people who constantly drain your energy. It means no longer arguing with those who have no intention of understanding you. It means refusing to chase people who repeatedly show you that you are not a priority. It means accepting reality instead of creating excuses for behavior that continues hurting you. There will always be people who become upset when you stop accepting poor treatment. They may accuse you of changing. They may say you have become cold, difficult, or selfish. Often, this reaction has little to do with your behavior and everything to do with the fact that they no longer benefit from your silence. When you begin valuing yourself, people who relied on your lack of boundaries often become uncomfortable. It is important to remember that forgiveness and access are two different things. You can forgive someone without allowing them back into the same position in your life. Forgiveness helps free your own heart from bitterness, but trust must be rebuilt through consistent actions. You are not obligated to repeatedly expose yourself to disrespect simply because you have chosen to let go of resentment. Walking away also creates space. As long as your life is filled with relationships that constantly pull you down, there is little room for healthier connections. Sometimes losing the wrong people is necessary before the right people can enter your life. Healthy relationships are built on appreciation, honesty, encouragement, and mutual respect. They do not require you to constantly prove your worth or compete for basic kindness. Respecting yourself means recognizing that your time is valuable. Every hour spent trying to convince someone to value you is an hour taken away from your own growth. Instead of chasing acceptance from people who repeatedly overlook your worth, invest that energy in becoming stronger, wiser, and more confident. The people who truly belong in your life will not require you to beg for respect. They will naturally understand your value because they respect themselves as well. Choosing to walk away is rarely an easy decision. It often comes with sadness, disappointment, and uncertainty. Yet those feelings are temporary. Living without self-respect creates a much deeper pain because it affects every part of your life. Every step away from consistent disrespect is a step toward protecting your dignity, strengthening your confidence, and reminding yourself that your presence is a privilege, not something that should ever be taken for granted. The way you speak and the way you value your time reveal far more about your self-respect than the clothes you wear or the words you post online. Many people believe confidence is about speaking loudly, dominating conversations, or trying to appear powerful. Real confidence is much quieter. It is reflected in calm words, clear decisions, and the ability to communicate without seeking approval. A person who truly respects themselves does not need to raise their voice to earn attention because their presence already carries weight. Many individuals spend too much time apologizing for simply existing. They apologize before sharing an opinion, apologize for asking a question, apologize for setting a boundary, and apologize for saying no. While genuine apologies are important when you make a mistake, constantly apologizing for things that require no apology slowly weakens your confidence. It teaches both you and the people around you that your needs, ideas, and feelings are somehow less important than everyone else's. Speaking with confidence begins with believing that your thoughts have value. This does not mean believing you are always right. It means understanding that your perspective deserves to be heard just as much as anyone else's. Confident people listen carefully, but they are not afraid to express themselves when necessary. They do not remain silent simply because someone else might disagree. They understand that disagreement is a normal part of communication, not a personal attack. Many people struggle to communicate because they fear rejection. They worry that if they express their true opinion, others may judge them, criticize them, or stop liking them. As a result, they hide their thoughts and constantly agree with everyone around them. While this may create temporary comfort, it often leads to frustration because they are living according to other people's expectations instead of their own values. The words you choose also shape how others perceive you. Speaking clearly, honestly, and respectfully creates trust. Constantly exaggerating, making excuses, gossiping, or speaking negatively about others slowly damages your credibility. People may listen for a moment, but they rarely respect someone whose words change depending on the audience. Integrity means allowing your speech to reflect your character instead of your emotions. Confidence is not about speaking more than everyone else. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who knows when to remain silent. Silence is powerful when it comes from self-control instead of fear. There is a difference between staying quiet because you have nothing to prove and staying quiet because you are afraid your voice does not matter. Learning this difference changes the way you communicate with the world. Another important part of self-respect is how you value your time. Time is the only resource that cannot be replaced. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can return. Possessions can be recovered. But every minute that passes is gone forever. Yet many people give away their time without thinking. They spend hours pleasing people who do not appreciate them, engaging in pointless arguments, endlessly scrolling through distractions, or waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. People who respect themselves understand that every hour has value. They choose carefully where they invest their attention because they know that attention shapes their future. Instead of asking how to fill time, they ask whether their current actions are moving them closer to the person they want to become. This simple shift in thinking changes daily decisions in powerful ways. One of the clearest signs that someone does not value your time is repeated inconsistency. They constantly arrive late without explanation, cancel plans at the last minute, interrupt your work for unnecessary reasons, or expect immediate responses while ignoring your messages for days. Everyone experiences unexpected situations, but when these behaviors become a pattern, they reveal a lack of respect. Protecting your time means recognizing these patterns and refusing to accept them as normal, you also show respect for others by valuing their time. Arriving when you said you would, keeping your promises, preparing before meetings, and communicating honestly when delays happen all demonstrate responsibility. Respect is rarely built through grand gestures. More often, it is built through consistent reliability in small everyday actions. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill every hour with activity, but make little meaningful progress. True productivity comes from focusing on what matters most instead of trying to do everything. Learning to say no to unnecessary commitments creates space for the work, relationships, and responsibilities that deserve your full attention. There will always be people who demand more of your time than they deserve. Some expect immediate access to you whenever it benefits them. Others create unnecessary drama that drains your emotional energy. If you constantly allow interruptions to control your schedule, you slowly lose control of your own life. Respecting your time means deciding that not every request deserves an immediate yes, and not every conversation deserves your participation. Speaking with confidence and valuing your time are closely connected. When you respect your own schedule, your words become more intentional. You stop making promises you cannot keep. You stop agreeing to commitments simply to avoid disappointing others. You communicate honestly about what you can and cannot do. This honesty may disappoint some people, but it builds trust with those who genuinely respect you. People naturally observe how you treat yourself. If you constantly interrupt your own priorities to satisfy every demand, others begin expecting unlimited access to your attention. If you protect your time with calm confidence and communicate your boundaries clearly, people gradually learn that your time is meaningful. The standards you maintain quietly teach others how they should interact with you. Every conversation is an opportunity to demonstrate self-respect. Every decision about where you spend your time is a reflection of what you believe your life is worth. Speaking with clarity, honesty, and confidence while protecting the limited hours you have each day creates a life built on purpose instead of pressure, allowing your actions and your words to consistently reflect the value you place on yourself. Most people spend their lives asking one question: how can I make people respect me? It sounds reasonable, but it is the wrong question. A better question is, how can I become the kind of person who naturally earns respect? Respect cannot be forced through words, demanded through authority, or bought with money. It is the natural result of character. When your values, actions, and discipline remain consistent, respect follows without you having to chase it. Becoming the standard means raising your expectations for yourself before raising your expectations for anyone else. It means refusing to accept excuses from yourself while constantly expecting excellence from others. Many people want successful friendships, loyal relationships, trustworthy coworkers, and supportive environments, yet they never ask whether they are becoming someone who reflects those same qualities. The standard always begins with the person in the mirror. People often lower their standards because they fear losing opportunities or relationships. They accept dishonesty because they do not want conflict. They tolerate disrespect because they fear loneliness. They ignore their own values because they want to fit in. At first, these compromises seem small, but every compromise slowly changes your identity. Eventually, you stop recognizing the person you have become because you have spent so much time adjusting yourself to satisfy people who never intended to respect you. High standards are often misunderstood. Some people believe having standards means believing you are better than everyone else. In reality, true standards are not about looking down on others. They are about refusing to live below your own values. A person with high standards treats others with kindness while also expecting honesty, responsibility, and mutual respect. They are humble without becoming weak and confident without becoming arrogant. One of the strongest standards you can develop is consistency. Anyone can display good character when life is easy. Real integrity appears when keeping your values becomes difficult. It is easy to be honest when lying offers no advantage. It is easy to stay disciplined when motivation is high. It is easy to remain calm when everything is going well. Character is tested when honesty costs something, when discipline feels difficult, and when remaining calm requires emotional control. People trust consistency because it creates predictability. They know where they stand with someone whose words match their actions. They do not have to wonder whether that person's values will change depending on convenience. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility creates respect. Your reputation is formed less by what you say about yourself and more by what your repeated actions quietly communicate over time. Becoming the standard also requires taking responsibility for your life. It is easy to blame circumstances, difficult people, bad luck, or unfair situations. While these challenges are real, constantly blaming them keeps you powerless. Responsibility does not mean accepting fault for everything that happens. It means accepting ownership of your response. You may not control every event, but you always influence the attitude and effort you bring to it. There will always be people who choose shortcuts instead of discipline, excuses instead of accountability, and comfort instead of growth. If you compare yourself to them, lowering your standards becomes tempting because mediocrity often feels easier. But your goal is not to become average. Your goal is to become someone whose character remains strong, regardless of what everyone else chooses. Living by strong standards sometimes means standing alone. There will be moments when refusing dishonesty costs you popularity. Choosing integrity may cost you opportunities. Protecting your peace may cause certain people to leave your life. Remaining disciplined may separate you from those who prefer excuses. These moments can feel uncomfortable, but loneliness built on self-respect is far healthier than acceptance built on pretending to be someone you are not. Another important part of becoming the standard is emotional control. A person who loses control over every criticism, every insult, and every disagreement allows others to control their emotions. Emotional maturity means responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It means understanding that not every opinion deserves your attention and not every conflict deserves your participation. Strength is often revealed through restraint rather than aggression. Your standards should influence every part of your life. They shape how you speak to people, how you manage your finances, how you care for your health, how you fulfill your responsibilities, and how you treat people who cannot offer you anything in return. Character is not divided into separate categories. It appears in ordinary decisions repeated every single day. Many people wait for motivation before improving themselves. They tell themselves they will become disciplined when they feel inspired or confident when life becomes easier. Growth rarely happens in that order. Action comes first and confidence follows. Every disciplined habit, every honest decision, and every courageous conversation becomes evidence that you are becoming someone stronger than you were yesterday. Respect is also connected to the people you allow into your life. When your standards rise, your circle naturally changes. Some people will appreciate your growth and encourage it. Others may resist because your new standards expose their old habits. You cannot expect everyone to celebrate the person you are becoming. Your responsibility is not to gain universal approval, but to remain loyal to your principles. The world pays attention to people who consistently live according to their values. They do not need to announce their integrity because it is visible in their behavior. They do not need to convince others to trust them because trust has been earned over time. They do not demand respect through fear or manipulation because respect grows naturally around people who live with discipline, honesty, responsibility, and quiet confidence. When you become the standard instead of chasing approval, your decisions begin to change. You choose character over convenience, discipline over excuses, truth over comfort, and purpose over popularity. You stop asking whether others will respect you because your focus shifts toward becoming a person whose actions make respect the only reasonable response, regardless of who is watching or what situation you face.